Hi guys, TD4LC here, back with another video. This time it's my Super Bowl review. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to head over to my channel TD4LC, check out my other videos and make sure to subscribe. Let's get into it. So firstly, we're going to look at the Buccaneers' defensive side of the ball because this is really where the game was won and lost, as many of you will know if you watched the Super Bowl. You know, they just didn't let the big game players like Mahomes, like Tyreek Hill, they just didn't let them into the game whatsoever. And there was a number of reasons for this, and we'll delve into why now. So you're going to see multiple clips here of absolutely outstanding pass rush from the Buccaneers, but that wasn't aided by the fact that both the Chiefs' tackles were injured. But the Bucs' pass rush was just way too good for them. So this great sack comes about because they've got the three defensive linemen and then a linebacker lined up over the top of the right tackle. And then Vita Vea is such a great nose tackle. He creates real good pressure up the middle. And it just means that the centre's engaged with Vita Vea, and the left guard thinks because of how powerful, how good his pass rush is, that he has to sort of help him out. So he comes across to the centre and gives Vita Vea a push, taking him out of position. Now, number 98 spots this, comes on an inside pass rush really nicely, and then the linebacker goes all the way around the outside, almost like a big stunt really, and gets around the outside of the left tackle because obviously he has to take his defensive end, number 98. And then Ndamukong Suh and the linebacker both converge on Mahomes at the same time. It's just a great pass rush, really well drawn up, and it's a massive loss for the Chiefs. Now this is another play, and you know, I know the benefits of a 7-step drop is that you're generally giving yourself more time to assess the situation without, you know, all the defensive linemen in your face. But when you've got two backup tackles, personally I think you should be just sticking to a 3-5-step drop. It just means that they haven't got to drop so deep on that pass protection, because when you're taking a 7-step drop, they've got to come back so far to make sure that the defensive end can't get to you. But then when you're against such elite defensive ends like Shaq Barrett and Jason Pierre-Paul, who have been so good all year long, you're just leaving yourself open on the inside and on the outside. And in this case, Mahomes goes to take the 7-step drop, Shaq Barrett fakes to the outside, the right tackle's taken way too far of a drop, and it opens up a massive gap between him and the right guard, and Shaq Barrett just shifts his hips really nicely to get to the inside. He doesn't even really need to use his arms and rip down, he just shifts his hips really well and goes through the gap. Mahomes has to throw the ball away on a key third down in the red zone. Okay, now this is going to be the last clip looking at the pass rush, but it's just crazy. This clip is almost identical to the first one that I showed you, except this time you've got the defensive end, Shaq Barrett, who's going to come on that big stunt round the back of the defensive line instead of a linebacker in the B gap. But the principle's the same. You've got Vita Vea, the one-tech defensive tackle. He's going to come right at the centre. The left guard's going to try and help him out and shove Vita Vea. Jason Pierre-Paul intentionally comes to the inside of the defensive line to bring that left tackle with him, opening up a massive pass rush lane for Shaq Barrett to come around the outside. You've got 4 really good pass rushers there, so Shaq Barrett comes around on that looping stunt. He forces Mahomes to turn back the other way and try and force something downfield, but the coverage is too tight and it's another big incompletion. So just the last couple of points before I move on to another aspect. I just think that the Bucs linebackers are so good, they're so talented. I've spoken in multiple videos about how talented they are, but you know, they really showed out in the Super Bowl, and especially when it came to defending the run and just covering so much of the field, they were absolutely everywhere. And this play is no different, so all this is from the Chiefs is a speed option to the left-hand side. And if Mahomes, you know, didn't have problems with his toe and all this sort of stuff, I think normally you'd probably see Mahomes take that another 5-6 yards before even looking to pitch that ball. But, you know, it's such a big game, they can't afford for him to be going down. Andy Reid's probably told him before this game, if we're running any sort of speed option, you've got to get that ball out. You know, we don't want you taking any hits. So he gives the ball early. But see how Devin White gets across there so quickly. He rushes across there, but then the ability to slam on the brakes and not let the running back, you know, juke you back to the inside is really good, and he breaks him down for the tackle. This clip is arguably more impressive for me. So here pre-snap, the Bucs are sort of giving like a cover 3 look. You've got that one high safety and the other one lurking a bit low, and then they rotate into a cover 2 pre-snap, and it's cover 2 man. And here you've got Lavonte David in one-on-one coverage with Travis Kelce, and normally Travis Kelce is just way too much to handle for linebackers in one-on-one coverage. You see here, Kelce actually gets a really nice push off and inside release, and Mahomes, you can't really ask for much better placement of this ball. He's tried to put it as low and as far out in front of Kelce as possible so that only Kelce can make a play on the ball and not Lavonte David. But the way that he catches up to Kelce and then at the last minute reads Mahomes' eyes, dives in front and makes the play, that is outstanding. You know, that's a hard play for a really quick corner to make, but for a linebacker to be able to stick on someone's hip that long and get in front of such a big tight end like Travis Kelce and make a play, that is outstanding. I was so impressed by this play. Now we've looked at the defence, I think it's time to sort of flip it over to the offensive side of the ball. Let's have a look at the runs. So this first example was a nice power run to the right-hand side, and it's pretty obvious what the Bucs are going to do here. I mean, I know they've still got Cameron Brate and Gronkowski in the game, and they've got Mike Evans to the bottom of the field. They've brought in extra O-linemen, which they do so often. And basically all the O-line are going to do here is going to crash down to the left-hand side. It's a power run to the right, and you're going to see this left guard is just going to come all the way around the back of the offensive line, and the Titans going to climb to the second level really, really well, seal off that block, and 74 is just going to get the lead block for Fournette, and he's going to walk it into the end zone. It's a really, really well-designed play, and this doesn't happen unless Brate and Gronkowski get to the second level and, you know, seal off the blocks on those linebackers. They do a really good job of getting off the line, getting downfield and blocking, and the hole just opens perfectly. Now this next play will be called Tiger West Right, Z Short 15 handoff. So all this means is you've got Tiger West Right. Tiger refers to the personnel grouping, so you've got 2 tight ends in the game, 2 wide receivers and a back. West Right refers to the alignment of the tight end, so you've got the wide tight end here on the end off the ball. And then you've got Z Short, which refers to this Z receiver, in this case Chris Godwin, motioning in. Short can mean different things. He can stay outside the offensive line, but Bucs use this motion a lot where they sort of end up behind the tackle or the tight end to give extra push behind the O-line in the running game. And then 15 refers to the front side of the O-line blocking down to their left and creating the gaps. And in this case, the key blocks are going to be from the right guard. The way that he seals off this defensive tackle is so impressive. He finishes the block. You know, they had these 6, 7, 8, maybe more yard runs so frequently, it just kept the chains moving. And, you know, the Chiefs haven't really had a running game all year. This is what the Bucs really did have over them in the game. So this next play call, to the best of my knowledge, would be called Zebra Double Wing Stack Right, 14U Sift. So all it means is that you've got the double wing, which is the 2 wide receivers to the bottom of the field, the one to the top, with the tight end at the end of the offensive line off the ball. You've obviously got the double stack to the bottom of the field. And then the 14 would be the concept of the front side of the offensive line blocking down to their right. And the U-sift is this U tight end who's just been motioned in. He's going to go around the back of the offensive line and block off this defensive end, allowing the offensive line to forget about him and all take a man to their right-hand side and open up bigger lanes. You see the key block on this play comes from the right guard. He gets the front side of that block and just keeps driving the KC player towards the sideline, and it opens up a massive cutback lane for Ronald Jones to run through, and it's a really nice run again. So in this last point, maybe slightly controversial, I don't know, but the Chiefs' discipline has to be better. You're in a Super Bowl, you've got the eyes of, you know, everyone on you, and you may think that some of the calls were a bit harsh and they were hard done by, but I still think you've got to be whiter than white in the Super Bowl. This is just one example. Brady receives the snap, there's not long to go in the half. Evans simply runs a go route to the outside, and, you know, he gets tripped by the cornerback. Looks like he tripped over the defender's feet because he was in front of him, but, you know, either way, you can't be tripping him up. I can understand why the ref has thrown the flag, even though it's sort of a grey area in the rules as to whether that should be a flag. It talks about when they're parallel to the receiver, if it's unintentional, then it's not a flag. There's not a lot if they've sort of unintentionally tripped them up from behind, so it is a grey area on that one. Then again, after this penalty, when they are down in the red zone, you know, he's just going to run straight up the seam here. Mike Evans, again, nothing complicated. Brady's going to just try and hit him for Mike Evans to high point the ball over Tyrann Mathieu. And again, you know, he's just used too much hands. I understand they say that the ball has to be catchable, but I've seen him reach up and catch some really high balls. You know, we're talking crossbar level. So personally, I think this could have been catchable for Mike Evans, but Tyrann Mathieu has to know better here, not to be grabbing at Mike Evans' jersey and using his hands so much. And it puts the Bucs right down at the 1 yard line for them to run a play. And then in another point in the game, the Bucs had a field goal try. This was already after they'd intercepted the ball and it got pulled back for holding, but you know, that's another matter. I'm not going to look at that one. But here it's a field goal. You've got one, you know, arguably 2 people they pointed out on commentary that could have been called on the offsides here, trying to block the field goal, and you go from giving up 3 points to giving Brady another chance to go and score a touchdown. And what do you know? The very next play, Gronk goes and scores in the end zone. And again, this isn't, you know, discipline in terms of giving away a penalty this time. This is just eye discipline and, you know, discipline in terms of sticking to your receiver. So the Chiefs are running a cover 1 here. They actually do really, really well. All the receivers are covered. And then Gronk sort of reaches halfway back in the end zone. And the DB's looking way too much at what Tom Brady's doing. You've got to be sticking to your receiver like glue, not turning your head so much only when you think he's throwing that ball. But he's almost staring Tom Brady down, you know, and Gronk's allowed to do what he wants. And in the end, Gronk breaks back to the inside late on in the route because the DB's too busy watching Brady, and he's got a wide open catch in the end zone for a touchdown. So just recapping the keys to the Buccaneers win and the Chiefs loss. That Buccaneers defense was very similar in terms of how much they locked down the opposition's offense to the New England Patriots in 2018 against the Rams. You know, they just absolutely shut down the Chiefs, which have been so effective on offense this season. So that was a shock for a lot of people. I think we all knew that the edge pressure was going to be a massive factor in the game, but I don't think we were expecting Patrick Mahomes to be under pressure quite that much. Then, as I mentioned, the running game was awesome all night for the Bucs. The way that their linemen got downfield to the second level and blocked was superb. And then the Chiefs, sort of ruining themselves with their own discipline, just allowed the Bucs and Brady to have more possession time and push down the field, which turned into touchdowns. So thanks for watching the video, guys. I've got a lot more content over on my main channel, TD4LC. Come and check it out. I'll see you in the next one.